Welcome back. All right, now I begin the review of tonight's games, which I should have started an hour and a half ago. All right. Um, Honestly, some really fun hockey played tonight. 6 games started at the same time. There was some bleed over between the end of the Florida Detroit game and the start of 6 other games. So kind of crazy trying to follow everything. I followed as best as I could, and yeah, let's just go ahead and get into this with Pittsburgh and the Islanders. This is why I never count out Pittsburgh. That's why I never count them out. Crosby's 1,000th game, and what was funny was they all came out wearing Crosby's number, and then they were copying his pregame ritual. Now, knowing how superstitious players are, I wonder if Crosby in his head was thinking, "Is this bad luck? They're all copying. Is this bad luck? Do I have to change my pregame because of them?" Or, like, on some level, I wonder if he was thinking that, because if you're superstitious, that can be tough. But it's his 1,000th game. So this is one of those times where you think, this should have been done in front of a full house. Referee gets hurt 29 seconds in, but he's okay. We get early chances for the Islanders. The shots were 6-1 in the Islanders' favor at 5.5 minutes. Penguins get their chances at 8.5. Jarry continues to be an amazing story for Pittsburgh. Remember when he was looking bad and DeSmith was out playing him and Murray looked good in Ottawa? Those were the days. They're gone now. Shot blocking by the Islanders was really notable in that first period, and it was keeping Pittsburgh off the board. So we go to the second period scoreless. Varlamov denies Lafferty. The Penguins definitely needed more shots. It was a relatively disjointed first half of that period. There were a lot of whistles. There was a lot of icings in this game. So it was one of those. Jarry denies Barzal in close. The Penguins start doing some line shuffling, looking for some offense. They get a power play, and the offense shows up there. It's Letang with his first of the year from Malkin and Crosby at 12:35. So there's 2 Hall of Famers. Chris Letang providing the offense there. But it doesn't last. That lead doesn't last as Eberle scores from Beauvillier and Dobson at 15:28. And they mentioned how Eberle has a very good track record against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So we go to the third period. 53 seconds in, Brock Nelson from Mayfield. So Nelson started heating up, and it's 2-1 Islanders, and I'm thinking, okay, so the Islanders just have to bring this home, right? Penguins then guilty of a turnover. Pajot shoots it wide, but Matheson, with what was a pretty nice goal, scores from Bluger at 7:35. So 2 goals, both from defensemen for Pittsburgh to this point, and that ties the game up. And the momentum had shifted to the Penguins. They needed this win, and they knew it. Jarry denies Wallstrom, and then it's Letang scoring his second of the game from Crosby and Gensel at 13:34. So Crosby, he actually ends up with 2 assists in this one. The Islanders get a power play. Penguins kill it off. The Islanders would pull the goalie. They're unable to tie it. So your 3 stars in this one, Crosby, Letang, and Jarry. Your shooting in this one, 16-4 Islanders in the first period. Yeah. 10-8 Islanders in the second, and 9-6 Islanders in the third. So the Islanders outshot them badly, 35-18. Power plays, the Islanders only had 1, didn't score on it. Pittsburgh scored on the only power play they had. Varlamov saves 15 out of 18. Jarry saves 33 out of 35. So for Pittsburgh, they go to 9-6-1, and for the Islanders, they fall back to 8-6-3. And this division remains a pretty major challenge. I was very surprised tonight we didn't get overtime. I was honestly very surprised. I was pretty darn sure we were going to get overtime, and we didn't. A lot of these were tied going into the third, or they were close, including this one, Nashville. Nashville absolutely had to have a win today. So now it started to become apparent that, yeah, Nashville's listening to offers, and in terms of who may or may not be available, there's a few that they won't listen to offers on, but most players are at least open to hear some business. So going into this game against Columbus, it's really important to get the win. And for Columbus, it's getting important for them to get victories as well. They've had their struggles the last week. Reverse retro Columbus, they missed out. They should have had their reverse retros in the last game against Nashville's reverse retros. That might have been a really interesting looking game. Shots were 4-2 Columbus at 4 minutes. Columbus would actually press at 7.5 minutes. But Nashville controlled a lot of this game. Arvidsson had a wraparound try that was stopped. Preds get a power play. And around this stage, the Predators are doubling the Columbus Blue Jackets in shots, and that would be a theme that would dominate the night. Yarncroke would score on that power play from Ellis at 12:58, so a power play that's been a problem for Nashville comes through there. And then Colton Sissons would score from Cunnin and Trennan at 16:49. So that makes it 2-0. Columbus gets a power play late. Their power play was not a factor today. So second period. The Predators get a second power play. Remember, they were 1-for-1. But during that power play, Boone Jenner gets a shorthanded goal from Harrington and Foligno at 3:46. And then Gabriel Carlsson gets his first ever National Hockey League goal from Bjorkstrand and Grigorenko at 5:28. Harrington had a nice play on that one as well, but they don't give out third assists. So the Predators then try to answer. Foligno had a fight with Borowiecki and made his exit. Borowiecki's jersey made an exit as well because it was ripped and it needed to be repaired. Foligno would return, though. We get a power play then for the Preds around the halfway mark. Predators had a 2-on-1. Elvis makes the save, but we're tied going into the third. Not for long. Yarncroke at 16 seconds. 16 seconds. And then at 45 seconds, Forsberg says basically he can do the same thing. And so he gets a goal to make it 4-2. Predators then get a power play. Merzlikins would get hurt. He would exit the game. Korpisalo would finish the game. I have not seen yet on the status of Merzlikins and what's going on, but that would be problematic for Columbus fans. And, of course, seeing the trainer on the ice tending to a goaltender. For Columbus fans, that's all too familiar of a scene. Nashville would hold on and win this one 4-2. Your three stars in this one: Yarncroke, Jenner, and Sissons. Shots 16-6, Nashville in the first, 19-10, Nashville in the second, and 10-7, Nashville in the third. Final shots 45-23. So almost exactly doubled up on Columbus. Power plays, Nashville 1-for-4, Columbus 0-for-4. Rinne saves 21 out of 23. Solid in a victory. Merzlikins 35 saves on 39 shots before he left with an injury, and Korpisalo saved all 6 shots he faced in relief. So we'll see how Merzlikins is. We'll see what his status is. But Nashville goes to 7-10 and Columbus goes to 8-7-4. If Nashville's going to make this work, they have to go on a winning streak of about 5 games. But beating Columbus, that's one of the teams they'll need to catch and pass if they're going to get into a playoff spot. So at least they get a victory tonight. We'll see if they can follow that up with more in their upcoming games. We'll just have to see. Next up, San Jose. So, you know, I'm not sure what to make of this game tonight. This was an odd game. Really, really odd game. And I'm not sure if this was just a poor game defensively for the Blues, if it was just Binnington's off night, or if this was just San Jose realizing they desperately needed a win as well. But for the Blues, it was Dubnyk versus Binnington. Dubnyk had yet to score a win as a San Jose Sharks goaltender. Blues wearing their thirds, which always look fantastic, and that's those, 1967 replicas they wear now that aren't exactly the 1967, but they're pretty darn close. There's a break for Kyrou sent wide. And I mean that San Jose's defense pushed him off to the side, so he didn't get that to the net. But Kane scores from LeBanc at 7:24, and then LeBanc enjoyed getting an assist on the first one so much he gets an assist on the second by Couture at 10:10. The Blues get a power play. Their power play is a problem. St. Louis, there's no other way to put it. Their power play is a problem. Last season, I basically had, Ottawa, Nashville, and Montreal are the ones I remember that were most obvious for having a poor power play. St. Louis's power play is atrocious and probably cost them the game tonight. Second period, Balcers would score from Hurdle and Meyer at 3:48. That made it 3-0. And then things get kind of scrummy. The Blues kind of ornery at the idea of not coming out so well at home. Shen would score from Kyrou and Hoffman at 4:45. But then Patrick Marleau scores what I believe was his first of the season from Kane at 8:18. So that made it 4-1. So Kane with a goal and an assist. And then it's Sanford scoring for the Blues from Krug and Shen at 8:37. But the Blues were having turnover issues. And there are teams in the NHL that are having turnover issues. St. Louis, one of them tonight. They're going to have to resolve that before the next game. The Blues would press and then on a delayed penalty. So the only way they score with the extra man is if it's not actually a power play. And it's O'Reilly that put it in from Hoffman and Dunn at 15:30. And this is suddenly a game. This is a game now. This is a 4-3 game. Then we get a post for Braden Shen as the Blues are pushing for that tie, and then they would get it. The tying goal is Kyrou from Perron and O'Reilly at 18:41. And then in the last minute, the Blues get a power play. This is where having a good power play probably wins you the game. But we go to the third period, and things are kind of scrummy early again. Krug was out of the game after a hit that he took, and it was a high hit. He would come back into the game, though. But again, for the Blues, you see a defenseman get hurt, you got to probably shrug your shoulders if you're a Blues fan and say, yeah, it's about right. Was the defenseman hurt? It's a Blues game. Balcers would score from Couture at 11:51. So Rudolph Balcers with his second goal. I love the guy's name. I've always been a fan of the player because names matter to me. So he gets his second goal. Couture, that's his second point of the game as well. The Blues then get a power play. They had chances during that power play, but this is where it's killing them. They didn't have a shot. So you can praise them for their puck control and for, yeah, they had it in the zone and they had looks, but they didn't get a shot on net. So that's a problem. Goalie pull with 1:40 seconds left. They had 4 6-on-5 goals coming into this game. Now, it is true, 3 of them were in the same game, but there's still 4 6-on-5 goals that they've scored this year. With 1:20 left, the Blues get a timeout, and whatever they decided doesn't quite work. Krug had a chance to win high late, but San Jose holds on and wins this one 5-4. They go to 7-7-2. And for St. Louis, 10-6-2. And it's an opportunity missed for the St. Louis Blues. Shots are 10-9 San Jose in the first, 15-10 St. Louis in the second, and 8-7 San Jose St. Louis in the third. Final shots 32-27 in favor of the Blues. Power plays San Jose, nothing. St. Louis 0-3. Dubnyk saves 28 out of 32 and he gets the victory because Bennington saved 22 out of 27. So they bailed out San Jose tonight, and it was a game San Jose normally has been losing this year, and they get the win. Let's see if San Jose can build on it. Let's see if they can. All right, moving along. Montreal and Toronto. How fun was this, right? So what's interesting is, of course, I mentioned that the Florida-Detroit game was on, so 6 games come on at the same time. So when there's 7 games on at the same time, I put the 7th on Mr. Computer. It being on Mr. Computer means that I'm not changing from that game, so that game will get more notes in a first period than the other ones, and then I go to all of them being watched at the same level after the Florida-Detroit game's done. So first period, they did an intro tonight for Sportsnet by Edge, or Adam Copeland, whatever you call him, and WWE superstar. And he's wearing a John Huber shirt. Now, he played Luke Harper. He passed away a couple months ago. And I'm pretty sure that anytime you see a John Huber shirt, Luke Harper shirt, that those proceeds go to charity. So, nice touch. Fantastic. Nice maple leaf on there, too. Early chance for Josh Anderson. It honestly, early on, looked like Montreal might be okay in this one, but they were wearing their reverse retros. I love the reverse retros. I'm not sure that they're going to keep them. Price denies Nylander. There were no shots for the Habs at 7 minutes. Nylander would be benched later, too. This doesn't seem like a game where you're benching Nylander, but we've got to have some kind of a Nylander controversy, so sure, let's do that. I'm not going to say Steve Simmons was behind benching him, but nah. Right? All right. No shots for the Habs 7 minutes in, but they were improving at the half. So this is sort of maybe a rust thing because they hadn't played in a week because the scheduling is really weird this year. So Montreal had a week off in between last Saturday and now. It's bizarre. Power play for the Habs. Armia was robbed by Freddie Anderson. The Leafs kill it off. Price denies Mikheyev and draws a penalty. So we then get 1:19 of a 5-on-3 for the Toronto Maple Leafs with 14 seconds left. So Mikheyev makes a big move. He draws a penalty. And then we end up with a 5-on-3. So we start the second period 5-on-3. What happens during that 5-on-3? Well, during the 5-on-3, Matthews scores from Marner and Riley at 1:05. Now, what's interesting is that is like almost exactly the second that the first penalty was supposed to end. So if it's after the first penalty's ended, well, then it's just a 5-on-4 goal. But they said it was a 5-on-3 goal. So Toronto stays on the power play. And did they make them pay? Boyd scores his first National Hockey League power play goal. Yep, first one he's ever got. from Thornton and Matthews at 1 minute and 20 seconds. And the momentum was all Toronto. It really was. It felt like Toronto might run them out of the rink. And then they didn't. Kotkaniemi scores from Tatar and Edmondson at 3 minutes and 24 seconds. And then Byron scores at 3:57. So suddenly it's tied. There's 2 goals scored in roughly 30 seconds apart. Paul Byron gets on the board after clearing waivers. I love seeing guys get on the board after they've cleared waivers. And, 2-2 tie. But then Marner gets the lead back from Matthews and Bogosian at 7:31. So this game was crazy in the second period. Absolutely insane. Matthews had a shot that was caught by Price. Toffoli had a chance that was stopped. And then we go back onto the power play for Toronto, and they score on it. Matthews with his second power play marker from Riley and Marner at 15:05. Austin Matthews now has 18 goals in 18 games. I will track this. We'll see how long he goes with a goal a game. He's not allowed to get hat tricks. I know this. But if he ever decided to start, this year might be the year. Now, what's interesting is that there's a goal that counts. Okay? Scored by Montreal. So they look at it and they go, that counts. That's a good goal for Montreal. And then Toronto says, we want to challenge it for goalie interference. So they look at it again and they go, it's not a good goal. Goalie interference, we agree. I've always found that weird. I've always found that really, really bizarre. That when they review a goal, they don't look at all possibilities. That they don't look at this and say, all right, so the puck's in the net before I blew the whistle. But that's clearly goalie interference. Now, speculation as well, and I'm not sure if something's changed since I saw this, was that maybe Toronto let them know, yeah, no, you guys made that call, but it was the wrong call. So, maybe. So anyways, Hyman was hurt on the shot block. So we go to the third period, and Toronto has a 2-goal lead. Kotkaniemi with a strong start to the third period. Shots were 4-2 at the half for the Habs, which is good that they're out shooting Toronto, but you might be hoping for some more shots there. Kerfoot then scores from Spezza and Tavares at 13:36. That made it 5-2. So Toronto, best team in Canada. Even though Toffoli would score from Romanov and Gallagher at 18:34, meaning that Montreal would pull the goalie with 1 minute and 15 seconds left. They call a timeout with 1:07 left with the idea that we're going to try to find a way to generate 2 goals. They don't get any closer. The final score is 5-3 for Toronto. They go to 14-3-2. Montreal drops to 9-5-2. The week off doesn't do them any good. Tomorrow night they're in Ottawa. They're going to look to bounce back. So that's again for Montreal. We'll see how good they are. That's the question we've had for the last 4 weeks. I don't know that we know yet how good Montreal is and how much their numbers just get boosted by having played against Vancouver. And I think that's a realistic question to ask. But anyways, the 3 stars, Matthews, Marner, and Byron. Byron gets on the board. Shots 13-10 for Toronto in the first, 16-8 Montreal in the second, and 7-6 Montreal in the third. Final shots 33-27 for the Habs. Toronto goes 3 for 4 on the power play. Montreal only gets 1 power play. Doesn't score on it. Freddie Anderson, 30 saves on 33 shots. Carey Price, 22 saves on 27 shots. And there you go. Quite the game. And Toronto comes out with the win. And now they're pretty clearly the best team in their division. Or are they? I need to change boards. So we need to talk about Carolina here because this is ridiculous. Now, I don't know. Again, this week I look at Tampa Bay's record and I say, interesting. I'm not panicking if I'm Tampa, but I'm concerned. I'm concerned because Florida's clearly better, and Carolina might be the better of the 2 teams right now between Carolina and Tampa. Small sample size between the 2 teams so far, but we'll see how it develops. Early Canes power play, fast game. No surprise. A lot of skill on the ice for both teams here. This game went fast. Shots were 4-3 for Tampa with 7 minutes left. This was a very fast game. There wasn't really a whole lot of notes to take on this because it was one of those games that just went very quickly. Vasilevsky made some saves when the Canes pushed, but it's scoreless after 1. Second period. Early chance for Tampa Bay is stopped, and then it's Trocheck scoring from Niederreiter and Natchez at 2:19. So with point number 302, my video on Niederreiter this morning is already out of date. Couldn't be happier. And then Tampa presses with 7.5 minutes left, but Aho would score to make it 2-0 from Svechnikov and McGinn at 15:30. And then shortly after that, Martinook with a hit on Volkov that I can only assume pushed him through the ice into the ground and we'll never see him again. Of course, I'm exaggerating, but that's what it looked like. It looked like he just ended him. Things get kind of scrummy after that second goal, however, and in the last minute, the Canes had a 2-on-1 that misfired. But you could see Tampa was getting frustrated, and I'm going to be interested to see if that continues for Tampa. So third period, Canes press at 2.5 minutes, and then guess who scores? The former Tampa Bay Lightning player in his first game against Tampa in a Carolina jersey. It's Paquette from Bean and Martinook at 3:12. And yeah, that was a big goal because that made it 3-0. And at that point I said, well, Tampa's not coming back. And not only because they're down 3-0, but their first shot was at around 8 minutes. So yeah, they did a very good job in that third period of keeping Tampa off the board. The thing that impresses me with Carolina right now isn't just, the speed and the skill. The defense is really good as well. So for me, we'll do the power rankings after this video. Carolina's definitely moving up. And they're 1 week, I think, away from, if they have another week like this one, they're top 3. They're top 3 for me if they have another week like this one. So we'll see, right? Shen had a chance that was stopped. Luke Shen with a nice chance there. Canes get a power play. They don't score on it. Power plays really weren't a problem tonight. The empty net goal then was added by Svechnikov from Aho at 17:41. So yeah, they did try pulling the goaltender early, but that just allowed that fourth goal. The Canes go to 12-3-1. Tampa drops to 10-4-1. So the Canes, they look really good. This is a team that, yeah, I will be very interested to see when playoff time rolls around which team in the Central comes out alive, because there's 3 teams that look really good. 3 stars in this one, Nedeljkovic, who had his first career shutout in this game. Aho and Paquette, or Knapp. Shots were 9-6. I'm not going to say that that's how it was arranged on purpose, but good job. 9-6 in the first in favor of Carolina, 13-9 Tampa in the second, and 10-5 Carolina in the third. Final shots, 28-24 for Carolina. Tampa just didn't look like Tampa tonight. I know they're not 100% healthy. I got that. Vasilevsky saves 24 out of 27 for the Canes, or for Tampa against the Canes. And yeah, Nedeljkovic, 24 saves for his first shutout. Good job. They're not missing Mrazek nearly as much as they thought they might. Nedeljkovic has kind of proven he's ready to be a regular NHL goaltender. We'll see if that continues. Next up, LA and Arizona. Okay, so the Kings. The Kings early in the season, I wouldn't say I was on a bandwagon, but I had them as high as 20th on the power rankings, and I thought, they could be a dark horse. Before the season started, I said of the 3 California teams, I thought LA was the one that could push for that 4th playoff spot. Then they fell apart about 10 days ago, and now they seem to have got it back together again. And it's the Space Coyote, which is cursed. I don't like the fact that the reverse retro jerseys, the records for teams wearing reverse retro, not good. It can't be, because it feels like every time I put a reverse retro is being worn, that team loses. It's just painful, because they're nice jerseys, but they're going to have negative connotations, negative memories. People are going to hate them. Again, I've seen it with the Vancouver Millionaires jersey. Your team loses wearing them. Look at the New Jersey Devils and that beautiful third, the throwback, the white one. They didn't win a game wearing that. You won't see it again. Strong opening for the Kings in this one. Peterson looked pretty good when he was tested. Had another good game. Cal Peterson's a good goaltender. The shots were 3-1 for the Coyotes at 6 minutes. The Kings pressed at the half, but it was a Coyotes first period where there's no scoring, but they controlled a lot of the play. So we go to the second. Peterson stopped an early chance from Schmaltz. The Kings get a power play and they score on it. Iafallo from Kempe and Kopitar at 4:37. Kessel then had a break. Peterson stopped that. So Kessel is back on a hot streak. He goes through hot and cold. He's back on a hot streak. Coyotes get a power play. They don't score during that. However, or did that one go in as a power play? No. I've got Arizona's 2 for 4. That may have counted as a power play goal. They may have changed the time, or just the app didn't display it. Broussard would score from Ekman Larson and Kessel regardless at 11:48. The Coyotes then get a late power play, but it's tied going into the third. The Kings, they score early, and there's a goaltender interference challenge. So, yeah, they looked at that and they said, yeah, no, that's a good goal. So Moore gets the goal from Anderson and Doughty at 52 seconds, and that took that late Coyotes power play and made it a 4-on-4. And then there's a too many men on the ice call on the Coyotes. They had 7 guys out there. So you're not supposed to have more than 5. They had 7. That's impressive because even if you pull the goalie, you're still not supposed to have 7. So that's the Kings' third power play. Coyotes would then get a power play of their own. Peterson held on to a Schmaltz chance, but then the power play clicks. It's Kessel from Osterley and Ekman Larson at 9 minutes and 41 seconds. So that's 2 points for Kessel, 2 points for Ekman Larson. And so they're doing well. The Kings then tried to answer, and they did. Who scores the goal? That's right, Velarde. He scores from Carter and Doughty at 12 minutes and 52 seconds. They pull the goalie with 1 minute and 45 seconds left, and Iafallo scores from Kopitar at 19:47. So, game-winning goal, Gabriel Velarde, after he had the shootout winner in the last one. Velarde's heating up. The Kings win this one. They go to 7-6-3. For the Coyotes, they drop to 7-7-3. This is a rough loss. They came out of that 7-game set with the Blues looking pretty good, and it's just felt like it's been kind of a letdown for the Coyotes since then. 3 stars, Iafallo, Kessel, and Doughty. Shots, 9-6 Arizona in the first, 9-8 Arizona in the second, and then 9-6 LA in the third. Final shots, 24-23 in favor of the Coyotes. Power plays, LA goes 1 for 3, Arizona 2 for 4. And yeah, Arizona only had 2 goals, so that Broussard one was a power play marker. Peterson, 22 saves on 24 shots. Kemper, 19 saves on 22 shots. Kemper played well. It's not on him. Save percentage wasn't great. It's not on him. And yeah, the Kings are in this. They're absolutely in this. Why not? Why not LA? Sure. Why not? You know why not? Because Minnesota won 2 in a row. They did it. Now, part of how they did this is, honestly, the Ducks they're the worst team in the National Hockey League right now. I think we're honestly there. And I know that their record is not the worst, but it feels like they're playing the worst hockey. And it's tough to watch Anaheim games right now because when they're behind 1-0, your first thought is, that's done. And it's terrible to think that way about a team, but it just feels like they score so little. Coming into this, they had what, a 1.8 goals for per game? Like it's anemic. It's so bad. So, shots are 2-2 at 2 minutes. I thought that was fun, so I threw that up there. Ducks not generating shots. Because once it was 2-2, they kind of went, all right, well, we're done with our shots for now. At least for a lot of the period. Silverberg had a chance to fizzle. Power play for the Ducks. Guess how many shots it had? That's right, none. You guys got it. Third Ducks shot was with 6:24 left. So 2 minutes in, they had 2 shots. And quite a while later, they got that third shot. There was a dump in that hit the net, hit the post, though. So that's not technically a shot on net, but it's a weird bounce that almost went in the net. And then Zuccarello scores from Kaprizov and Spurgeon. That's at 15:07. And when the Wild score first, they're 6-1 coming into tonight. So Fiala would then score at 16:17. That made it 2-0. And things get kind of scrummy after that. There's some teams tonight that weren't good losers. Then the Wild get a power play. So we go into the second period with that power play still in effect, but the Wild's power play sucks. It had scored 3 goals on the season coming into tonight. Terry takes a penalty. That gives them another chance. So they score on it. Yes, the Wild's power play scored tonight. Isn't that weird? Fiala gets that one from Dumba and Greenway at 3 minutes. So important news for Minnesota fans. Fiala's heating up again. Kevin Fiala, who was easily the best forward for Minnesota in the play-in round against Vancouver, that Kevin Fiala seems to have finally arrived this season. The Ducks, They can't score 3 goals. I put that right here. Ducks can't score 3 goals. Like they can't. They're not going to. It's 3-0. It's over. Gibson denied Greenway. Better period for the Ducks, but they were down by 3 until Backus gets a goal. It was originally given to Mahura, but they changed it to Backus. Shattenkirk with the other assist at 16:29. So, hey, David Backus scored a goal tonight, but it's 3-1 after 2. Third period, early continuous play without shots. That works fine for Minnesota. The shots were 1-0 in favor of the Ducks 3 minutes in. Play continues. Gibson covered the puck at 4:15, bouncing puck. And yeah, it was a Minnesota game. Rask scores his 4th of the season from Kaprizov and Zuccarello at 5:45. So Kaprizov, who's slowed down in the scoring realm, he gets a couple of helpers tonight, so he's heating up again. The Ducks' lack of offense was startling in this game. Like, it's just, I don't know how to put it. If you haven't watched a Ducks game this year, well, I would understand. I'd understand right now if Ducks fans weren't watching, because it's kind of painful to watch this team skating around. You know they can't score, and they're playing like they know they can't score. So Eriksson Ek would make it worse from Hartman and Fiala at 14:26. That made it 5-1, and that's your final. There was no coming back for that for Anaheim. Your 3 stars are Fiala, Spurgeon, and somehow Hakanpää. Hakanpää, who I mentioned in the preview for today's games, that, hey, he hasn't got a point, but he's been playing well. Well, apparently, somebody decided he played well enough tonight to be one of the 3 stars. Now, when you lose 5-1, technically, Fiala and Spurgeon I get, but Kakkonen played pretty well. I probably would have given him the 3rd star. As great a guy as Hakanpää might be, they lost 5-1. Shots were 11-6 Minnesota in the first. Both teams had 9 shots in the second. And then Anaheim actually outshot them 12-9 in the third. Final shots 29-27 for Minnesota. Kakkonen saved 26 out of 27. Gibson saved 24 out of 29. Minnesota's power play, 1 for 2 tonight. And Anaheim's 0 for 3. So for Minnesota, I believe they're still the worst in the league. They might have passed Detroit with that 1 goal, though. Them and Detroit, it's kind of a turtle derby between them to decide who the worst is. It's a great time to be alive and be a hockey fan. All right, moving on. All kidding aside, a great time to be alive and be a hockey fan. So, Sport Check up here has had 40% off on all jerseys. So a few weeks ago, I said, all right, so I'll get myself Connor McDavid, because at 40% off, yeah, that's fine. I'll take Connor McDavid. Because I've argued for the last couple of years that I think he's the best player in the league. And tonight, he showed it again. The interesting thing is this. I honestly think that McDavid goes out and he gets his points. He's not worried about getting record amount of points. He's not worried about himself or what he gets. And it really is about the team goal. And tonight, it again is kind of about the team goal. Bennett with a high hit on Cuckoo right early in this. Now, it was not a headshot, but it was interference, because Cuckoo didn't have the puck. Cuckoo would leave the game, would not return, and so Bennett had knocked him out of the game. Oilers get that power play on as a result, and they score on it. It's Chason, who suddenly heated up from McDavid and Draisaitl at 3:29. Bennett gets out of the box, and Jujhar Khaira greets him, and they have a fight. And it was a real legit fight. This wasn't one of those, there's a couple of punches and then the linesmen jump in. This was a legit, we're going to have 80s night kind of fight. Flames tried to answer. The way they answered was allowing another goal. Nugent Hopkins scores from McDavid at 5:41. The Flames get a power play. They do score on it. Mangiapane scores from Tkachuk and Lindholm at 7:54. The Oilers decided to challenge for goalie interference. It took a little bit for that review, and they decided, nope, that's good. We're good. That's fine. That's fine. No problem with that. So that counts, and that means that they go right back on the power play. They don't score on that power play, but they get 4 shots. The Flames press with 7 minutes left. Nordstrom had a shot that almost fooled Koskinen. There were moments where you thought this game might even up. And they announced at this point as well, Cuckoo would not return. The Flames nearly get one with 3:30 left. There's a power play from them for the Oilers, and they score on it, because it's what their power play does. It is the best power play in the league when it's going. And McDavid from Barrie and Nugent Hopkins at 17:11. That's 504 points for McDavid at that stage. He might get to 1,000 before the end of the year. I don't know. That made it 3-1 after 1. And then second period, McDavid decides, why don't I just score another one early? And he does at 1 minute and 6 seconds. Absolutely vicious goal, just beautiful goal. And that's the 15th 4-point game of his career. He'd score more than that, but that's 15 times he scored 4 points in a game. He hasn't been in the league that long. So Dubé then had a no goal for goalie interference. And I actually, and there was no challenge on it either. It was, they pointed out on the replay that the puck goes in, and he kind of celebrates, and he was kind of like smirking, like he knew that wasn't going to be called a good goal. But you can't just, I'm going to kick the goalie in and then, the puck crossed. So the Oilers then go back on the power play. The weird part is that, or no, not yet. Levo had a chance that was stopped. Levo was actually up on the Goudreau line at one point, showing just how desperate Calgary is to try to get something to change for them, right? McDavid would score from Russell and Kara at 8 minutes and 12 seconds. So that's the hat trick goal for McDavid. That's 5 points, and that's where Markstrom comes out and Riddick goes in. And to this stage, you'd look at the score and you'd think, well, the Oilers are killing him. Not really. The puck control, the actual shots, the play of the game, the Flames were doing very well. It's just every time McDavid got the puck, it ended up in the back of the net, either through a pass of his or through a shot of his. It's not fair to throw this all on Markstrom either. Markstrom's stats coming out of tonight are going to be miserable. McDavid was in the zone, and then he just kind of settled down. This is how McDavid does this. So the Flames played well. The Oilers go back on the power play. Nugent-Hopkins would score on that power play from Nurse and Draisaitl at 12 minutes and 38 seconds. So Nurse continues his hot streak. Barry's on the board. Everybody's on the board in this game. Nugent-Hopkins with a goal, or 2 goals and an assist to that point too. And then the Flames get another power play. Their power play tonight was not as successful as the one that was employed by the Oilers. Third period, early, the Oilers decided to make this even uglier. So as the other game that I covered and just posted a review of, which was Colorado and Vegas, it took forever. As that was going, this one turned 7-1. Archibald from Kahun and Draisaitl at 36 seconds, and I said, okay, that's enough of that. I'll give my attention to the outdoor game because this one is over. I did turn back, saw Mangiapane hit the crossbar. Yeah, it was a rough night. The Oilers win this one 7-1. They go to 12-8. Don't look now. They were 3-6. Now they're 12-8. The Oilers are making an argument that they're in the same conversation as the Maple Leafs for who is the best team in Canada. We knew it would end up being Matthews versus McDavid at some point, right? I think we're there. The Flames dropped to 8-9-1, and a lot of the things they were saying about the Flames in this game are the same things that have been said about the Canucks recently. So it's really, really odd that the Flames pick up all these former Canucks, and now they're playing like the Canucks. So weird. 3 stars, McDavid, Koskinen, and Nugent-Hopkins. I'm glad Koskinen got a star because when it's 7-1 like that, it's easy to overlook a good goaltending performance. But early on, Koskinen's saves were the difference. Koskinen was stopping the puck. Markstrom was not. The shots in this one were 19-10 Calgary in the first, 14-8 Calgary in the second, 11-6 Calgary in the third. Final shots were 44-24 for the Flames. Power plays, this is part of what killed them. Calgary was 1 for 5. Edmonton was 3 for 5. Markstrom saves 10 out of 15. Riddick saves 7 out of 9. Koskinen saves 43 out of 44. Amazing night. Great games. And there you go. I've still got a power rankings to come. Let me know your thoughts regarding these games in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.